On Thursday, TYT host Anna Kasparian debated Dennis Prager of PragerU. Now, look, I said before that I didn't think it was going to happen. I actually called him out in this video, and I said, he'll never do a debate with any actual leftist, but I was wrong. Turns out he did show up. Well, look at that. And by the way, he also did not rage quit, so credit to him. Credit to him. Now, that said, Prager had a lot of bad framing. So he seems to have a lot of ideas about the left. It just doesn't happen to be true. And so I want to give you an example here. This is where he talks about how a traditional woman would be treated in a classroom without any evidence.
If a girl got up in a high school or college class, let's say a professor or a teacher said, so women, I mean, to the extent that they can now say that, because you can't say boys and girls in many elementary schools, because we're told by your side that sex is not binary. But let's say they say, we'd like the women in this class, please stand up and tell us what your vision for your life is. If a girl got up in a college class and said, you know, to be honest, my greatest hope in life is for a good marriage and to make a family, she would be regarded as almost a freak.
Would she? I mean, what is that based on? Yes, what evidence do you have to back that up?
I live in the real world.
So do I.
Okay, and you believe that if a girl got up and said that, she would be regarded with the same respect as the girl who said, I'd like to be a physicist?
I believe that most normal people are too busy thinking about how they need to survive and are less concerned about the aspirations of individuals in their classroom. And so if you have data backing up that women who want to be homemakers are persecuted in this country, I'd love to see that data. And I wouldn't agree with that persecution.
I never said they're persecuted.
You seem to imply that they're being victimized by wanting to be homemakers, and I just don't buy it.
So I love Anna's response on that, because she's absolutely right. It's bad framing. He doesn't actually cite any sort of source. He doesn't say, well, I have an example here. He doesn't even have an anecdote. He just comes out and he says, well, obviously that person would be, treated like a freak because they wanted to be a homemaker. No, nobody cares. Nobody cares if you're a homemaker. Nobody cares if you want to do traditional gender roles in your own life. You see, again, the left, we do believe in freedom. We believe that if you want to have traditional gender roles in your relationship, do you. The only issue here that we have is trying to force those traditional gender roles onto everyone else. That's the issue that we have. Okay. And by the way, there's all sorts of other things that he said in there, like, oh, you can't actually say boys and girls in classrooms anymore. No, that's also, cite your sources. That's not true. You can say girls and boys, but then you also have to say, or to make sure that you respect someone's gender identity if they're not a girl or a boy, right? Or if they identify as the opposite gender that they were born. Okay. Again, I know it's a very, very difficult concept for people like Dennis Prager, but it's true. It's true. But again, there's all sorts of bad framing when it comes to what the left is actually arguing. That said, right, there's one more video here that I just, again, with the terrible framing here, and that's the idea that the left doesn't want to have conversations. And by the way, that's the whole reason that this debate had begun in the first place, that had been asked for, is because Dennis Prager believes that the left is trying to shut down any dissent, that doesn't want to have any conversations with the right wing. Again, I've had conversations with members of the right wing before. I've had perfectly pleasant conversations with the right wing, and I've had some contentious conversations with the right wing. Okay. The whole idea that the left wants to shut down dissent by disagreeing with you is absolutely ridiculous. But it goes to this victimhood framing. And this next video, again, this is my favorite part. It's where they shut down that framing.
Okay, if you're on the left as opposed to liberal, you don't believe in a free nation. I reject that, because you suppress dissent.
No, we don't.
You're on our show.
We're not suppressing dissent at all.
You're right. Well, I don't get a chance to speak much, but you're right, and I honor that. and you are exceptional.
No, they're not an exception. The left actually does like to have debate, and we actually don't want to dissent, crush any sort of dissent. That's projection. What Dennis Prager is doing is projecting. Yes, are there some people, by the way, in both political ideologies, that do want to, I guess, woke school, right? Yes, there is that situation. But when it comes to, progressives, no, we love to have debate because we believe in our ideas. We believe that our ideas are better than their ideas. And look, if there is a better idea on the other side, then yes, we'd like to hear it and even incorporate it. That's the whole point of having these open conversations. But where Prager comes from is, again, a lot of generalizations, a lot of terrible framing, and I think bad faith in a lot of these arguments. That's the issue that I've always had with Prager and these conversations. But nonetheless, I love that he decided to actually go on TYT and to have this debate. He should do Sam Cedar next. I really hope that he does Sam Cedars next, so that we can basically try to knock down the straw men of the left that Prager enjoys putting up on his own show.